So there was an epic struggle going on, and there is an epic struggle going on between Charles Sousa, Ontario Minister of Finance, and Rob Ford, Mayor of Toronto. And the two of them met this afternoon up at Queen's Park to try and sort out a reduction in provincial funding to the city of $50 million per year total. I find these kinds of fights over sort of who owes who what money, all of which money belongs to you and came out of your pocket, to be the most distasteful of all. And, of course, we've got this catfight featuring in the blue corner Mayor Rob Ford and in the red corner Charles Sousa. I think it is the constant refuge of misleading politicians. They all do it. When less money is available, they make not a peep with regard to reductions in the size of government and government bureaucracies, and instead then they tell us they're going to cut programs for widows and orphans. And, you know, I've said this before, and I say it again, and I say it in a way that is on the one hand supportive of what the mayor's been trying to do, but on the other hand encouraging of him to get on with actually reducing the size of the bloated city bureaucracy, because he could save $50 million with his eyes closed if he got at that. And I'm not talking about the frontline police officers and people cleaning the streets and plowing the snow. I'm talking about the management people over there that fill up buildings, plural. Not just the City Hall, but the Metro Hall and all the other city halls. And if they got at that, he could save $50 million in the first year. I would say to both of them, settle this, resolve it. The kind of meeting they should have had today is not one where they came out and said on the Mr. Sousa's case it's all fine and Mr. Ford's case it's disgusting. They should have come out saying, you know what, we've talked about this and Mr. Sousa has his problems to resolve and I've urged him to do it. I'm going to support him in doing it, but we're going to do it a little slower than he'd planned or something like that, as opposed to one side calling the other names and the other side kind of playing dumb. Has done more to rein in finances that were out of control. In fact, he brought in the first budget I ever can recall from any level of government in my 45 years being involved in politics that actually spent less than the year before. Never heard of such a thing. And we should be hearing about it from time to time, at least controlling it to the point where it doesn't go up or even goes down a little bit when times are tough. So Mayor Ford has made an effort in that regard, but somehow it also doesn't ring true to me to hear that you're calling on somebody else, and quite properly so, namely the Liberals at Queen's Park, to clean up their mess. And then the minute they do anything that affects you, you say, well, no, I didn't mean that. You know, that's the problem that all governments have, is that they, you know, start to clean up their messes, and the minute they impact on somebody, all of a sudden those people say, well, don't do it that way. You know, Rob Ford had, and the city government generally had reason to rely on, and this is where I think he did get blindsided. I think he's not being inaccurate on that. He had reason to rely on previous correspondence he had from the provincial government, and they even set out a schedule right through, I think, to 2018, saying this is how much money you're going to get. And normally, if you were going to change that kind of deal, if you were in business or if you've even given your kids an allowance, I mean, you know, you're not going to give your kids written notice, but you are going to sit down and say, look, I was giving you $10 a week, and I'm sorry, we're going to have to cut that back to $7. Tough times. And in this case, they just kind of sent a letter. And you sort of wonder sometimes, in 2013, when these people are not 2,000 miles apart, they're like about 2 kilometers apart, Queen's Park and City Hall, why they couldn't get together and have a discussion about this and say, well, look, you know, would it help if we sort of phased this down or did this or did that? But you said quite rightly, Mr. Ford, that we should clean up our mess, so we're now going to clean it up, and that's got to affect some of your money, $1.84 billion of grants and subsidies, and some of that's going to be affected. So I'm sympathetic to Rob Ford in that it looks like he did get blindsided and just got a letter, which strikes me as a ridiculous way to do business.